Hi, in this video tutorial, I'll be showing you how to attach a raster image file for the purposes of tracing. It occasionally becomes necessary for us to trace a raster image for the purposes of creating a W-block library or perhaps for creating a corporate logo for a title block, which was originally a raster image file. A few things you'll need to do to set up for this lesson. The first thing is download or locate an image file that you wish to trace. I've done that and I've saved it to my desktop. The second thing you need to do is create two new layers under the Layer Manager. I've already taken the liberty of doing that. The two layers I created are a photo layer and a tracing layer, and they have been assigned contrasting colors to their layer property. Also, make the photo layer the current layer. One last step to set up, which is to define the area that you want to be your final tracing size. In AutoCAD, it's very misleading when you insert an image. An image could be as small as a couple of inches in width and height, but it could also be several feet. We once had a student that inserted her image file and she was zoomed way away, and none of us knew this, and her image ended up being 700 by 400 feet. So let's type in units at the command line to make sure we're in inches. We are. Let's hit OK. Let's create a rectangle. I'm going to pick a rectangle. I'm just going to give it 2 inch by 2 inch dimensions. All right, so that's my 2 inch by 2 inch. You'll be able to see. Let's take a distance so we can see. Okay, that's 2. By 2. Excellent. The one thing about a tracing is if you make your finished product substantially smaller or larger than the sample that you really want, you may find that the arcs and line work and P-lines and so forth don't scale as you might intend for them to do. So it's probably a good idea to figure out what size you want in advance. So for most of our purposes, a 2 inch by 2 inch block is a very happy medium. So why don't you follow that example and see how that works for you. Now, let's move right along to inserting the image file. Along the top of the ribbon is an Insert tab. The Attach command suggests that you can insert an XREF, an image file, a DWFR file, PDF file, or a DGN, which is a MicroStation file. This is the command that we want. Once you initiate this command, toggle to where you have your file saved. Mine is on the desktop. So here I want to create no path. That means the connection between the inserted image and this file is not relevant. However, you will need to save these files in the same file folder, or you may have to reinsert your image file at another date. I'm going to specify the insertion point on the screen and the scale on the screen as well, and you'll see how that's helpful in just a moment. So I'm going to pick OK, and I'm going to pick the lower left-hand corner with my O snap set to endpoint. I'm going to pick and drag my mouse out. You'll notice that the aspect ratio of the image I downloaded doesn't make a perfect 2 inch by 2 inch insertion into the box that I pre-created. This is fine. This just gives us an idea of approximately the size of our image file. This will help us so that the file isn't as large as 700 by 400 feet. So I'm going to overlap my box just a tiny bit and pick on the screen. All right. Let's go back to the Home tab and do a little work with our layers. So I'm going to make the tracing layer current, and I'm going to lock my photo layer so it doesn't move around too much. I'm now on the tracing layer, and I can get started with some of the simple draw and modify tools that I've learned in the past. And I'm just going to draw right over the top of this image. Mostly I'm going to be using lines, arcs, and polylines. You'll also see that for the tufting here on the leather, I may be using ellipses. A 3-point arc is the arc that I use over and over and over. So make sure that my O-snaps are on, and I just start gently following the contour of the chair. Every time I pan, the image disappears and you can sort of check the progress of your trace. Please don't be too worried about how exact your tracing is. It won't matter when you're done with the tracing and we detach the file. Okay, so now we have the outline of the back of the chair. I'm just going to create a series of arcs here and some ellipse later. And really, the objective of this assignment is not only to trace, but to create an object that you could render in a presentation drawing, perhaps in a program like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. This is a quick way to create object geometry without having to draw three-dimensional models. The objective here is to make sure that your arcs and lines connect. They connect, they don't overlap, and there are not any gaps. To be able to erase it, you'll want to do a crossing box over the edge of the image. That's the quickest and best way to select the image, which is very difficult to select. And then to just hit the delete button. Another way you can, let's undo that, get rid of it, is to type in the command xref, X-R-E-F, and hit enter, and it will show you that you have an attached file. So you can select the attached file, right mouse click, and detach, and it actually becomes detached from the file completely, not just deleted. So there's no reference to it at all anymore as well. And until you're done tracing your image, you perhaps want to keep this rectangle as a reference in case you should need to reattach your file. So if you forget to store the image and the CAD file together, you will have to reattach it. And you'll need a way to do that that will put it relatively in the right place again. Right, good luck with this assignment. There is one last command that may help you troubleshoot some problems should they arise. Occasionally, because this is a three-dimensional sort of software application, you could notice that your tracing disappears beneath your image layer. To rectify that, what you want to do is A, make sure that your photo layer is locked. Okay, mine is. Second of all, use the command draw order, DRAWORDER, and when it says select objects, make a window box around where you know your tracing elements to be. You can see that that highlighted my tracing elements. And then hit enter, and it will ask you which ordering option you want: above objects, under objects, front, or back. And I'm going to pick A, above objects. And then it will ask you to select your reference objects, which is the image file. So you may have to really get close and select the edge of that image file. Look to your command line, and if it says that it found the object you picked on, go ahead and hit enter to progress. Then you should be able to see your tracing outline. Now what I've noticed is when I reinserted my image that my image was reinserted slightly smaller. So I'm going to go back and unlock my photo layer and just make it a little bit larger so that it fits my tracing. And this is only an issue if your file becomes detached over multiple sessions. Perfect. That's good. See how easy that was? Go back to your layers and relock the photo layer and continue tracing.